Welcome to Whole Lot of Wolves. We're back to kick off season 3. I'm Joshua Buckley.
I'm Paul LePage.
And we have Alex in New York who's producing for us. Mr. Alex Patakis. How's it going, Alex?
Very well. Excited to be back for another year. How are you guys?
All right. Not bad. And then our first guest of the new season is regular contributor from Baltimore Wolves, and that is Danny Paletti. How's it going, Danny?
Hey, Josh. Hey, Paul and Alex. Great to be back. Really excited for the new season. I brought a striker with me. Was that all right?
Yeah, I was going to say.
We'll take two.
Where do we start? Okay. It's the first episode of the season, so we're going to be as positive as we possibly can. Okay. Boy, we looked really good in Spain, right? In the preseason. So, Paul, let's start there. How do you feel like that new four back was looking?
So four at the back looks really promising, and delighted with the signing of Collins, who just seems a perfect fit, perfect foil for Kilman. That could arguably be a centre-half partnership for 4, 5, 6 years to come. That he's got all the seems to have all the qualities that we're looking for in those two pivotal positions to help make that change. And so you think on the face of it, we've pretty much sorted at the back. There's potential here that we do make the switch to from a 5 to a 4, and we reap the benefits of that further up the field. And then it starts to kind of break down a little bit that, okay, Moutinho signed up for another season, so we locked him down. That's fine. Neves is still here for whatever reason, whether it's he's been priced out of a move or whether it's a World Cup year. It's a weird World Cup year that it's actually in the season. So does he want to maximize his playing time to be sure of his position in the Portugal squad? So that factors into it. Then Donker's still here, but again, same midfield. So no change there. That real dynamism you probably need if you do switch to a back 4 is still missing. So that's an issue. Forward positions, now we look at, you think, okay, on the face of it, we're pretty well stacked. Traore's back. What's going on there? That feels kind of like a state of flux somewhat. That
he's shopping in his Spain jersey,
or is he flying somewhere? So we'll see how that goes. But even if you take him out, you think, okay, we relatively okay in those forward positions. Chiquinho's injury was a blow, but again, you're thinking, okay, squad player, not really crucial. Gibbs White's come back and he's done well, and he's looked good, and he looks a fit, and he certainly looks an improvement on Trincao. So you'd see that as a positive, and take the blinkers off and his performances last year for Sheffield United, who you can say outperformed when James Maddison was in the Championship, or Jack Grealish, for example. So take that as a positive for definite, that if he's part of the plans, he's sticking around, then we're good to go. Then we get to that number 9, and this is where it all turns to, okay, might as well R it already. It all turns to shit from there, that as soon as Raul goes down, we're screwed. In that, okay, Fabio's gone out on loan, which, okay, good for his development, have a full proper season, lots of minutes. Okay, I'm fine with that. We needed a striker in addition to Fabio before he went. Now we need 2. So going into the first game of the season without a recognised number 9 is, I'm a little reluctant to say negligent, but
I'll say it.
Yeah, and whenever someone says false 9, it just sends an absolute shiver down my back. I hate it. I don't like the concept. Maybe I'm old school. I just want a like big lump up front to throw the balls into the box and have someone put their head on it. I can't see it working for us. So what has gone on to get us to this stage? I'd love to know, because it makes no sense from the outside looking in.
I will say, Paul, that the false nine is what got Richmond AFC promoted in Ted Lasso season 2. So maybe, but I'm with you, especially if the false nine is, hulking giant Daniel Podence. That could be an issue. Danny, did you agree with the Fabio loan? I know I did until this. Did you agree with the Fabio loan? And can you believe that they would loan him out without having his replacement lined up?
Yeah, you said it. I mean, that's been the reaction, and that was my feeling from the outset, which is that it doesn't make a huge amount of sense unless you already have someone lined up. I understand Anderlecht has already started their season, so they were probably pushing for that to be completed so he could be with the team. But, it seems reactionary on Twitter when he goes and everybody says, well, why don't we have someone lined up? Something could happen to Raul. But then something happened to Raul. Exactly what happened. And everybody saw that was coming, that could happen. It doesn't have to be like, I feel like with Raul, we're sort of careful. Like, we always imagine an injury being like his last injury, like life-changing potentially, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be like this, which he might be out only a few weeks, or he could get the flu for a couple of weeks, like he could be out for any number of reasons, and we just don't have anybody to replace him. So I'm also sort of at a loss for words to explain exactly what we're thinking there. And I think as far as the false nine goes, it's like there's kind of a reason you mostly see bigger teams playing with a false nine, and it's because they have goal scorers everywhere. There's goals coming from everywhere, and so the false nine you don't have to have a number 9 taking up the mind space of a lot of defenders, because there's danger everywhere. But so far we haven't been that. We've looked really exciting during preseason, but I still worry about our goal output and how much the defense is going to be thinking about our attackers without someone like Raul right on those center backs.
Well, and the people bringing up perhaps Podence at the false nine, I mean, one of Raul's strengths that we were kind of seeing with this four-man back line was Raul's hold-up play, how it was really key. Paul, is there anybody on the roster right now that could, Huang? I don't know. Is there anybody that can serve that hold-up role?
Again, that kind of scares me if you're looking at Wang to do that role. He gets a lot of stick, and for me, it's somewhat unwarranted, because for his outlay, I'd be totally fine with that amount if he was taking up a bench position and challenging to be a starter. That's okay by me. But to expect him to pick up that role and be the starter, I haven't got a great deal of confidence in that at all. He's the only probably one I would back to do it. I probably think Neto could give it a go, but I don't think that's necessarily, he's got that skill set for that particular role, and it may be taken away from what he can deliver in his preferred positions that way. So has that been a thought that's what he's been brought in to do, that he is a genuine replacement for Raul if he goes down? But it doesn't fill me with a ton of confidence by any stretch.
Paul already touched on it, Danny. He liked the move. I love the move. Collins coming in as, the only big signing thus far. I did think it was funny. People are like, oh, why are we getting another center back, when for years everybody's saying we need a new center back? So we finally get one, and then people complain. I thought it was a fantastic move. I thought the price was right. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a great move. If you just judge by the reaction of Burnley players, they feel that even for the most money that an Irish player has ever gone for, it's still a steal. And I wasn't someone who knew a ton about Collins before. I'd heard that he'd had a good season at Burnley, but certainly hadn't heard him linked with us at all. And then as soon as the little rumors came in and you start looking at it, it was pretty clear from the outset that Burnley fans thought that this was a big coup. And I don't know, everything I've seen from him in preseason looks really promising. Like Paul said earlier, him and Kilman seem like a natural partnership. And also, I think gives us flexibility. You know, a lot has been made of us not playing a single minute of three at the back during preseason, but I think that that's still going to be in our hip pocket, you know, especially against the bigger teams. And to be able to put out a three at the back with Cody in the middle, and then potentially Kilman and Collins on either side, you know, that's a very strong three at the back, hopefully, for some of those games where we want to be a little deeper.
You mentioned Cody, and I think we're all going to be on agreement here, but we'll see. It seems to be dividing the fan base now. A lot of people saying, oh, well, we're doing back four. We don't need Cody anymore. You should sell him off. Danny, you just said it, and I tend to agree with you. You want that flexibility of being in the back five. Plus, Cody means so much to the team leadership-wise. I feel like you have to keep him on the roster, because who would fill that role? Neves, who could be sold at any minute. Moutinho, who's going to retire at the end of the year, perhaps. I mean, got a lot of young kids. I don't know. Paul, what are your thoughts on Cody?
I think you got to keep him based on squad depth for starters, flexibility in terms of having the opportunity to switch to three at the back should the opposition dictate that. Plus, give him the benefit of the doubt that who knows how he's going to do in a traditional back four with different partners that he's playing with. You know, it doesn't appear that he's got a natural skill set as a centre back to transition straight into it, but he's played most of his minutes for England in that role. And he's certainly shown over the course of his Wolves career that he's got the mentality and the ability to adapt from a midfielder into the sweeper. So I'm not writing him off by any stretch. My only hesitation would be that, again, it's going into a World Cup year-ish that he'll want to keep his minutes up, I think. And if we are in any way in this sell to buy financial squeeze, if you're going to be getting a bid of 25 million plus, which you probably could command for an international centre back under 30, it's going to be pretty tempting. So I'm in the keep camp for definite, unless it's an offer too good to be true.
Yeah, I find it interesting. People are like, you know, Cody, and like you just said, you know, Cody may want to start for his England minutes, and that does make sense. But at the same time, he's not starting for England either. And Southgate said that he's probably the best leader on the team, even without starting. I would hope that would carry over to Wolves, you know, same type of leader. I just worry that, you know, even if the price is right, you sell him off. The only way I would feel comfortable with that is if it came with a Neves extension at the same time. Otherwise, we could be an issue with leadership there. A big, big void. And Paul, you mentioned Neves still here. What's your gut feeling?
My gut feeling is that if we don't sign him up to a new contract, then it's just delaying the inevitable. That my only comfort in Neves is staying if he's got fresh ink on a new contract. Anything else is just delaying a move again, probably next summer, when the World Cup's passed, and he can probably have his pick of where he can go again, not worry about minutes potentially and disrupting his place in the national squad. But at the moment, I don't think that he'll go. And I think if we see him in this stage of the preseason going into the season, I think he'll be there come the end of the transfer window. But to me, unless he's signing a new contract, it's just when's he gonna leave, not if he's gonna stay.
Do you feel the same way, Danny?
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point I'm feeling cautiously optimistic about him staying. There's certainly some chance that, you know, especially in the final days, that a big team comes in and says, you know, our other targets didn't pan out and we really like this guy and we're willing to pay maybe more than we wanted, but as much as Wolves were quoting before, to get him. I fear that, but I think at this stage, I think just the garden variety move that we thought would happen, you know, the sort of like 40 million figure, I think that ship's probably sailed. I think Paul's spot on about the World Cup playing a big part in this. You know, it's just so tricky for him to move to, you know, if you even just look at the big teams in England, if that team has other starting midfielders, it can be such a potential knock to his minutes at the World Cup or even his appearance at the World Cup, and that's going to mean a huge amount to him. So I agree that now if it seems like, you know, 80%, 90% that we're going to keep him this season, the priority now has to be to get some kind of new contract so that Wolves can protect that value, because it's just, you know, like Paul said, we're sort of delaying the inevitable in a number of ways. It's like I shudder to think of the Twitter reaction when, you know, Neves in the final year of his contract goes for 20 million or 18 million or something. It's going to absolutely erupt if that's what happens.
You know what's been upsetting me here this whole summer is Barcelona, when they talk to us, they have been claiming broke. We don't got any money. We can't pay for Adama. We can't pay for Neves. Here, take our young kids, blah, blah, blah. And then they're out there. They've spent the most money this summer in the transfer window, which just blows my mind. It's like, okay, a couple of big signings. It's like they come out of nowhere and get Kunde from Chelsea, just swoop him up out of nowhere. You know, I get it. I hope that club goes bankrupt. Like, for real. These are guys had to sell their future TV rights just to keep from going in default on June 30th. And now they're like signing everybody. It's amazing to me.
I've watched several videos. I've watched several videos about their financial situation. I still cannot wrap my mind around it.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. And so that's been irritating because it seemed like, okay, the two teams were Barcelona and Manchester United, but you can't make the argument that Neves would get Champions League football if he's going to Manchester United. I mean, we're seeing how Ronaldo feels about that right now. That's another hot mess. I don't know. I hope he stays. I'm with you, Paul, though. At the very least, get him to commit a 1-year extension, like rip up his current contract, give him a new 2-year one where he's the highest paid player on the team, and then, you know, go from there. Because if we wait till the last minute too, who are we going to get to replace him? Paulina's gone, and that was always his replacement. I don't know who we'd replace him with. Question mark, Kenny.
I knew that name would come up.
Another name that keeps coming up is Matthias Nunez. What are we doing? What are we doing? How many times does this? Well, he has friend zoned us. All right. It's not happening. Paul, why do we keep trying for this guy?
Again, if we had any understanding of what goes on behind the scenes or what the thought process is or whatever, that just to give some clarity on it. And again, it must be a case that if it's that type of that caliber of player that you're after, is there money available for it to begin with? Who knows? It's doubtful. And if you are going to spend that chunk of cash, that is one of the deals that you're going to do right at the start of the preseason. So he's in the squad and acclimated and ready to go. So it is just a case, I feel, of it being stretched out, and it'll come to a point where there was probably nothing in it, and he'll stay where he is and go to Man City next season, and it'll be, oh, look what could have been, but look what could have been, but we're never even holding hands to begin with. So again, it's such a big gaping hole in the squad that we haven't filled, in addition to a number 9, that I don't know why. I can't understand why they're not trying to make that type of signing. And obviously it helps if you are transitioning to a back 4, that you've got 2 centre backs that are comfortable in that role. So it seems that we've got those 2, but it is really crucial that you've got a set of midfielders that know what they're doing when it comes to playing in front of a back 4 as well. So I still think we're missing a crucial cog in the wheel of having that play in front of the back 4 that can help with the transition.
It seems like if they were to convince him, that's the type of signing Wolves should be making their highest signed player, to bring him in. I mean, it just makes sense, because I think even if you spend that money, in a couple of years, he'd probably go beyond that value. Danny, do you think the value's good if you can somehow kidnap him from Sporting?
What's the price we're talking about?
What I see, 45 million.
Yeah, although that might be euros. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably worth it from everything I've seen of him. You know, here's my hot take for the summer is I want more unsubstantiated rumors. I feel like the last 3 weeks or so, we've had almost no rumors. And the problem is then the craziness online just becomes about this narrative of like, we botched this Nunez deal. Why doesn't he like us? When it's clear as day. I mean, there's teams already in the Champions League that might come in for him before the end of the window. So he's waiting for that. But I have to sit online and watch people complain about how useless Scott Sellers is because he can't close the deal with this player. If we just had a bunch of unsubstantiated rumors, people would be bickering about which one to pick. Instead, we've just got this one guy that we latch on. It's like this every summer. We latch on to one guy for the entire summer and can't let him go. And then when we don't get him, then it's like the club's useless. We can't get this one guy who's focused all summer.
It felt like right at the start, I was thinking to myself, it can't be any worse than last summer was. And it's turned out to be way worse than last summer was. And it's showing no signs of turning itself around either, to an extent that, again, with the online views and looking for all these clues about dominoes falling, and the big teams have got to make their big signings first, and then there's a trickle down effect. So we'll do our business later on when those pieces are moved, or we've got to wait for the international window to open, then we'll announce a bunch of players. That ship came and sailed away, and then what other things are in place? Like year of contracts, you'll only get stuff happening July time. That came by and nothing happened, and now we're into that stage of, well, we're right on the verge of the new season, but we've got to wait for these other deals to happen. And if we are going to make a move in the window, it's going to be towards the end of it. And it's just it's comical. I kind of have to detach myself away from it. It can be it can suck you in and spit you out.
I do have disappointment when I wake up in the morning and check Twitter and check Talking Wolves first, hoping, like you said, there's some stupid rumor that it's going to at least give me some kind of hope, and there's nothing. And I'm like, oh, until there's no, they're really still trying to convince Nunez. No. The one deal that I thought was going to go through, and I think a lot of us did, including media and including Sellers going over there, was Enzo Fernandez. I don't blame Wolves for this one. Do you think I'm correct in that? It seemed like, I think they had a deal and then Enzo just changed his mind, wanted to stick with the club through the end of the year, and Benfica said, okay. What do you think, Paul?
It's a tricky one, because the weird thing with that one, it was these types of players are a little off the books in terms of the typical profile that the Wolves would go for. So we saw a dabbling in the South American market last year with Mosquera coming in, but this one seemed to be trying to make more of a splash with a player that could come in and be a genuine contender to start with. So I could probably see us being, in the race for him, but being quite adamant that these are the terms that it was going to happen on, which I'm fine with if we've got a suitable fullback, that if that deal doesn't happen, then the next man up and we're bringing him in instead. And again, that's not happening. So what are they doing?
Yeah, it was just weird to have sellers go over there. I don't see how you go over there not thinking you have a deal like in place and you're just working out the
I think
final
it was
details.
Matt Wild, so it wasn't sellers, it was like the head scout or whatever. So if he's going, you're not going to have a head scout negotiating contracts or putting a bid in for a player. So how that news got out or how that news broke, I don't know. And I kind of don't see the newsworthiness in it, if that makes sense. Chief Scout goes to South America on scouting trip. Oh, okay. They're looking at players in South America. That reads a whole lot different to Chief Scout goes over to make signing, who subsequently turns us down. I don't see the connection between the two. So if it had been sellers going or someone in that capacity, then it may have shown you that they were more in it or it was more advanced. But I think it could have been blown a little out of proportion in the way that it came out about how he was traveling and what he was doing when he was over there.
I understood with them trying to say, okay, if we're paying this amount, you need to come over now instead of wait until December. I do hate that he apparently said no, because one of the big deals is he wanted to win, the Copra Libertadores. I'm sure I butchered that name there. With River Plate, his boyhood club. And then they get knocked out like a couple weeks later. And it was just like,
yeah, he was ready for preseason. Yeah.
I don't know what to do. It's like, again, I get what Wolves were saying, like, no, we want you now, but is it really worth losing a deal over a couple of months knowing that it's already a weird year with the World Cup? I don't know. That one was disappointing to me. I didn't blame that all on Wolves, but I don't know. Danny, was there any other rumor that was getting you excited?
Not too much excitement.
Other than ones I'm trying to start on Twitter?
Yeah, those are the most exciting ones, just the ones we're ginning up ourselves. So, every few days you'll post something about, how Weston McKennie's up for sale. And then on the alternating days, I'll find a clip of Yunus Musa doing something great and put out my propaganda for that. No, I think that the only other one that I've heard that sounds even credible is the other South American one, the Dario Osorio, the Chilean guy. But again, it's like, apart from the Mateus Nunez thing, it's like we're just like clutching at straws here. There's so little to be said about this potential deal. There's even rumors that the deal's done with Osorio, but I mean, good luck finding actual confirmation about that.
Yeah, and again, I just feel like he'd be somebody that would be filling the Chiquinho role. So it's not even like somebody who's going to come in and we're going to go, hey, good, you can start now.
I will say, I'll take that back. There is one I'm very excited about. Are you ready for this? Christian Benteke.
So yeah, Benteke, I was going to bring up next because there are people that are saying that. I was listening to Wolves Fancast Twitter Spaces yesterday, and they were just bemoaning the fact that Benteke can even be an option.
Now, I have a specific reason why I'm excited for that. Not because I think he'd be a good signing, although I think his hold-up play could probably help us if Raul's injured, which he is. Because I think he's scored like 7 goals in the last 3 years or something. But more because one of my good friends who I watch soccer with a lot is a Crystal Palace fan. And if Benteke comes over to us, I'm going to get him a Benteke Wolves jersey.
Yeah, okay, 17 goals in 4 years. The only thing that kind of got me excited about it is he's tall, and maybe that's somebody that can be on the end of a Dama crosses for once. Even though Podence did head in another one, I still don't think we should be trusting on our, 4'10" Smurf to be our dominant aerial presence. Danny, you think I'm going to be able to talk Weston McKennie to Wolves into existence? I'm sure as hell trying.
Time's running out, man. I mean, the whole point of getting a U.S. player in here is to do it before the World Cup, not after.
You know how much he's going to be worth to Juventus after the World Cup if he has a good one, which I anticipate he will. Paul, I'm just being crazy, aren't I? Huh?
Yeah, sadly, it's just it's the hope that kills you.
I need everybody to start tweeting at him, though. I'm the only one showing the love here. I need more just direct tweets at him. Come on, you guys, all you people in Wolverhampton that know about the town that can show him the nightlife, if there is nightlife. Show him the nightlife out there. I'm trying, but we got Weston McKennie wants to see the love, guys. So let's keep it up. Paul, you went to Wolverhampton over the summer. What was the feeling in the pubs there?
Yeah, that was the still kind of the state of what are they up to? What are we going to do in earlier stages of pre-season than travelled when I was over there. But I think it's kind of how it's developed. There's still kind of question marks over Lage a little bit as well. That was he somewhat is he potentially still somewhat of a sitting duck in that why is he settling for this situation? Is he just a Fosun steward that's in there and they can use him as a little bit of a puppet, that he's going to be a yes man, he's going to be quiet, he's not going to say much and just take what he's given and try and do something with it. So there's some factors into there. I think the start of the season, as that extends, could go two different ways, in that this new era of formation and personnel could be fantastic and it could really click and we could be great, or we could get off to 3 losses on the bounce and there's question marks over his future straight away. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks, I think.
So I got a couple quick questions here. So just rapid fire. Alex, you're going to participate in this one too. Okay. So first question, we'll start with Danny and then go Alex, then Paul. Danny, do Wolves sign a starting 11 quality player before the end of the transfer window?
Yes.
Alex?
I still have a lot of faith in that.
Yes.
Alex?
Yes, they have no choice.
Paul?
Yes, and I'll say 2.
Ooh, 2. Okay. Bruno Lage will be the head coach, will be the manager at the end of the season. Danny?
Yes, I think so.
Alex?
Yes.
Paul?
I hope so. So yes.
That's what I hope too. Okay. Wolves player of the year will be blank, Danny.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'm going to go for Pedro Neto. He was so good in that year before he got injured.
Alex?
I'm going to say Jose Sa again.
Okay.
Hope not.
I really hope not, but I can see that happening without much midfield protection.
Paul?
It'll be Chelsea's left back next summer, Ryan Aït-Nouri.
Ooh, Chelsea's, huh? Yeah. I'd say Neto, but Aït-Nouri you could definitely make an argument. Wolves' biggest scapegoat of the year, Danny.
I mean, If Dendonker doesn't leave, that's the traditional scapegoat. It's got to keep being Dendonker.
I think that's the only answer. Yeah, I go with Dendonker as well.
Paul?
I think I'll go Wang.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Morgan's Gibbs White. And I think it will be unfair, but I could see him like not having a goal in the first 5 games and everybody thinking he's trash again. Hold on. I got to think of one more. Oh, duh. Wolves' final position in the table will be what, Danny?
I'm gonna go ultra safe and say 10th again.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah, 9th. Say 9th.
Okay. Paul?
You need to ask me at the end of the transfer window, but as
They
it
all say.
stands, a regression back to 13th.
Ooh. Okay, 2 more. Neves will be with the team at the end of the transfer window. Danny, yes or no?
Currently, I feel the answer is yes.
Okay. Alex?
Yes, and the new captain.
Okay. Paul?
Yep.
I agree as well. And I think 10th place is pretty on. And then one final one. This is the Andrew Smith special. Will Fosun sell the club next summer? Danny?
No, not at all.
Alex?
No.
Paul?
Partly.
I'm kind of thinking that too. I thought he was crazy at first, but the more I've kind of seen and everything, I could see it happening. I could see at least a portion of the club being sold. All righty. Well, let's see. I'm sure none of those will come true. And I am looking forward to Connor Cody being the Wolves Player of the Year this year after everybody's hurt. It's the final countdown to the first game of the season, which is this Saturday, 9 a.m. kickoff for those of us in the Central Time Zone. It's away versus Leeds United. And to help us with the preview, we're bringing back Danny's sworn enemy from the Ultimate Frisbee days, David Geckle. How's it going, David?
Good. How are you, Josh?
Not bad. Not bad. Trying to, stay cool here in Houston. Super hot.
It's pretty hot and humid here too.
So it's been a preseason of major change. You guys have had big departures. Calvin Phillips leaves, Rafinha leaves, but you had a flurry of incomings. I mean, what's the expectation among the fan base coming into the new year?
Yeah, it feels a lot like when you first get promoted from the championship with the amount of incomings, and then you lose your best player on loan that you can't keep. So I think people are kind of thinking, it's a refresh. Marsh has a full preseason. We could maybe surprise some people. And then there's other, doom and gloomers that like we lost our 2 best players and we're bringing in guys from the Austrian Bundesliga. We could be in a relegation fight again. I think I'm kind of in the middle where we'll be maybe 15th, but maybe not. It won't be as squeaky bum time as it was last year.
Particularly with Rafinha's output, how do you think that's going to be replaced?
I mean, I don't think they did. Rafinha, the starter for Brazil, it's hard to replace that without having kind of big 6 money. They did sign Luis Sinisterra from Feyenoord, who is a right-footed left winger. So Rafinha was a left-footed right winger. They kind of went the opposite side. But he had 20 plus goals, 10 plus assists in all competitions last year. But, the Dutch league and Europa Conference League is a different animal than the Prem. But if Bamford can stay healthy, I think that was that really hurt the attack last year. There just wasn't that focal point up front. Like Jack Harrison's assist went from 10 to 2 just because he didn't have anyone to play the ball to. Dan James is a false nine, just didn't work. So hopefully we ended that experiment and never go back to it again.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty jealous. How exciting is it for you to have so many U.S. men's national team talent on there? I mean, your managers, U.S., and then brought in a couple guys, including Tyler Adams, who some argue should be the captain of Team USA.
It's both really exciting and also very terrifying, because if this goes wrong, then it's going to come back. Oh, it's all America's fault. We shouldn't have got an American coach and these players. And like, I really like Tyler Adams and Brendan Aronson. I think even if they weren't American, they would be good, obviously. I think Brendan Aronson he was in the 99th percentile for running stats. So, I mean, he's going to work his ass off. They like to press. So I think he's like perfect for that. And then Tyler Adams is basically the, Calvin Phillips replacement. But they're going to go with a two, like a double pivot rather than a single pivot like Bielsa did. So they also signed Mark Roca from Bayern, who is more of a kind of a more of a passer, and then Tyler Adams is more the destroyer. So I think they're gonna work real well together. But yeah, so if it works, it's gonna be unbelievable. And if it goes wrong, it's gonna be really sad.
Hey, Geckle, I had a question. As you guys move away from sort of Bielsa ball, as you were alluding to, what's happening over the summer that makes you hope that you'll be a little tighter at the back? I know that was a little bit of a problem the first season, but you were scoring goals like crazy, and then a big problem last season.
Yeah, it's hard to see, because last year under Marsh, they looked a little more solid when they played kind of the mid-table teams, but I mean, they still looked pretty outclassed by Chelsea and City and Arsenal. And it didn't help that they got red cards early in some of those matches. So maybe take that with a grain of salt. But I think they're just kind of, they went away from the man marking, which I think once it went wrong, it went horrifically wrong. And I think, Marsh is more, he tries to attack, but they try to pick their spots and they're not so flying up the field. And then I think having Calvin Phillips out really hurt. They never really found a backup for him. So they're like probably 2 transfer windows too late with Adams. But so it's good they finally got somebody in that destroyer role. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully at least having the pivot too will help. So it's less, I guess it's more keeping compact and tighter at the back. And they also signed a 6'2" right back, Rasmus Christensen. So Elling is kind of more of a slight guy. So I think having a big Danish guy is going to help on set piece defending, even though I've not really seen him play too much this preseason because they've been in Australia.
Wow.
I love Leeds, but I wasn't waking up to pay £5 to wake up at 6 a.m. to watch a friendly.
I think that's interesting, especially since Tyler Adams is like 5'6", 5'7". So your right back is a good 8 inches taller than your defensive mid.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips wasn't super tall either. But yeah, they got a big, you just love a big hulking Nordic man. It's like, I can't resist.
So David, as we bring this segment to a close, you got any ideas of what we're going to expect on Saturday based off the preseason games in terms of best 11 and that formation that you talked to?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, but more of a kind of a narrow attacking 3. Bielsa played with a lot of width, and Marsh, it's more keep it compact. So your winger is more of a attacking midfielder, but they can still go wide. So they had a friendly today, Sunday. So the starting lineup for the friendly, I think, is probably what we'll see. So they have Melier in goal, Strauch at left back, Koch and Llorente in the middle, Christensen on the right, then Adams and Roca in midfield. And then the middle three is kind of where they have some questions. I guess Dan James is suspended, so he won't be playing. So it'll probably be Harrison, Rodrigo, and then I forget who the right attacking midfielder was today. And then Bamford will play up front. So hopefully, knock on wood, Bamford can stay healthy, because they if he's hurt, they still haven't signed really another striker. Joe Gelhardt kind of started coming on at the end of last year when he got to play. He's like 20. So I think he could do some good things if he gets a chance. Unfortunately, they played some closed door friendly also yesterday. So some of the people that would be in contention aren't in this match, but I think that's probably about how they should line up.
That was Leeds fan David Geckle ahead of the game. Now, guys, what do you think we can expect in this season opener, Paul?
Good question. I think we kind of stuck that as it stands today, we can probably guess the starting 11 and it won't have a dedicated striker in it. Maybe there's something working and we get someone in before the season opener, but they won't be in any fair position to start, so they'd be off the bench anyway. So I think what David was saying to me, kind of the way that we're lining up, I originally thought we might do quite well away from home, pressure off a little bit, and might turn out a performance like we did a couple of years ago when we went away to Sheffield United and won. But I think from what he was saying formation-wise, it might be a case that we cancel each other out somewhat. I'm still not blown away by any stretch in terms of our ability to score. So there's still no reason to think that we're going to get one or two kind of away from home in particular to really put the pressure on the opposition to bring them out their shells and attack us a little more and get more. So I think we'll probably cancel each other out.
How about you, Danny? How you feeling?
Again, cautiously optimistic. Maybe that's the words for the start of the season, is cautiously optimistic. I think the only possible tweak, because we saw I guess the game's still going on right now, the last friendly, we saw Hwang being started in that central forward role. I think there's an outside possibility that we start like we did against like Besiktas, so the 4-2-3-1 and Hwang's up there. But I think Paul's probably right. More likely you see like a 4-3-3 or 4-2-1-3, if you want to call it that, whatever. With sort of more free flowing front three. And yeah, I think I'm probably on board with Paul that cancel each other out is probably what's on the menu. I'd like to see us score a couple goals at least, but I think it's going to be a pretty even match.
False 9 or somebody else starts at the number 9, Danny?
Yeah, sort of just.
That's not an answer.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know. I think more likely it's going to be the false 9 or fluid front three, whatever you want to call it. I just think to be a little bit more safe, Bruno Lage might pack out the midfield a little more and have Den Donker in there to break stuff up, rather than putting 4 attackers on.
Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I think a more I don't know. I think if we're going to probably go down that route, I think I could probably see Hwang start, and it's not a false 9, but it might as well be. So we'll see, and I'd rather at least give him the opportunity in that role to see what he can do, rather than potentially see it as Podence or something that I've just got no confidence in, really.
If your nickname is the Bull, at some point you gotta like be up top doing the dirty work. Come on,
Yeah,
Hwang.
or if you are playing more of attacking formation and you've got the parts around you, that just stick him in the box and let him finish and give him the chances. Don't expect him to be kind of running around and being that player with the skill and the control from the wing and coming in. Let's see what he can do as a striker with the pieces around him. Those pieces weren't there last season because we didn't have the forward players to complement him or anyone else when it came to sticking someone on the end of a move. So if we've got that extra body in the attacking third, then let's make the most of it and give him a chance to see what he can do with the right type of service.
Yeah, I
I
do
agree.
think Hwang stands to benefit from the formation change too. I mean, I know he became a bit of a meme by the end of last season, but I mean, his best game is sort of being slipped in behind the back line, and having someone like Morgan Gibbs-White around can only help him. Someone who has that deft touch to just put it past that last defender and have him slip in, like the 2 goals he scored against Newcastle. If we can keep giving him chances like that, he has a nose for goal. We just have to put him in the right position.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see him at least start there for the half and then kind of see how it goes. Then we can make adjustments. All right, let's hear the score prediction. I'll let Alex, I'll let you start first.
I'm going to say 1-0 to Wolves. I don't want to be too optimistic. I think we'll see some good attacking play. I don't think it's going to result in a ton of chances, but I think they get one. And I'm just thinking about like what Leeds fans are probably sitting here thinking right now. Like they've got to replace 2 of their best players that, they've had in quite some time. So I feel like 1-0 to Wolves, and it's more about Leeds just being, having so many new pieces and less about Wolves actually making things work. So I hope I'm right.
Danny?
I think my theme for this season is going to be safe money. And I think the safe money, as always for Wolves until we're proven wrong, is a draw. I think it'll be a score draw. I think both teams can score. And I think both teams probably have some holes at the back. So I'll go 2-2. And I wouldn't be shocked if one of ours was a penalty, because Neto seems to be very good at drawing them.
Paul?
I was leaning towards a surprise win, but I'm probably going to stick with that score draw. So I'm going to draw as well, but 1 each.
I feel like before Raul's injury, I would have probably said something like 2-0. I would have felt really good about it. But with Raul being hurt, I do like Wolves defense this year. So I'm going to start off with a bang with 0-0, Paul. Hopefully this will help me, since last time I was so bad in the standings, right?
Well, yeah, but we didn't really set the world on fire in terms of those anyway. So what do we know?
All right, Paul, do we have any no stupid questions this week?
We've got one. So as a reminder to the listeners, No Stupid Questions is that segment of the show where you can ask anything you want when it comes to Wolverhampton Wanderers, regardless of whether you're a legacy fan all the way down to you being new to the team or the EPL, or even just getting into the sport for the first time. You can ask us in a judgment-free environment. Do this on the socials, on Twitter at WLWpod, or on our Facebook page, or by emailing hello@wholelotofwolves.com. One person to do that is Michael Moser from Hockley in Texas. He asks, what young players are you most excited to see for the Wolves this season?
I'll let you start, Danny.
I think I mean, some of the obvious ones, I guess, are Mosquera, who really didn't get to play much at all because he was injured for a lot of last season. I was really excited for him last preseason, and then he unfortunately got injured. So still excited for him. I think another easy one is Ryan Nori, who's just had a really great preseason. Everybody's really hyped about his role. I think Paul alluded to it earlier. I could see us getting very serious offers for him next summer. And then an honorable mention to someone who's probably not going to see any minutes or maybe many minutes, but I watch the under 23s a decent amount, and I think Hugo Bueno is really on the edge of being first team ready. He probably needs a loan if we don't need him on the bench, but we're probably going to have to keep him on the bench.
I was curious to see how Kundal would be used, and then they're talking about a loan for him now, of course. Kim Campbell, kind of interesting to see what happens there, but I'm going to say all eyes are going to be on Morgan Gibbs White here early on. I'm stunned he's still with the team, but because I thought him and Wolves just had a relationship that wouldn't be able to be solved, but I think Lage has kind of promised him a role now in the starting 11, so he's going to take it, and I think he's going to be a big key this season if they're going to have success offensively. Paul, what do you think?
I think if we can still incorporate him as young, and it was already mentioned coming back after injury, having game time the end of the season and a full preseason, Neto could absolutely tear it up this year. I really hope he does. That's who I'm most excited to be seeing.
No one said Tody Gomez. Kind of surprising.
I always think of him as being older. I know he isn't, but he looks a bit older, and because he was at Grasshoppers, somehow he feels like he's 23 or something.
All righty, Paul. Some exciting news, correct?
It is. It's some big news. Saturday, 1st of October, West Ham versus Wolves. Everyone listening in the US, well, other parts of the world, you're welcome to. But you are cordially invited to Houston for an unofficial USA Wolves watch party. The kickoff time is ideal. It's a later one on the Saturday, so it'd be 11:30 Central Time. So for those wishing to travel in either the night before, stay over, watch the game, or if you wish to arrive on the morning, spend some time in Houston and depart the next day, there are plenty of options. We're going to be making plans for additional events on both nights. So book your flights and accommodation right now. Look to get situated around downtown Houston, and we'll keep you updated as to the formalities. So we've already had some commitments from fans traveling from Austin and New York. So definitely a case of not missing out come October the 1st.
And I will say the Chicago meetup, I know a lot of people didn't go because they were anticipating having to save for a summer tour that didn't happen. But Danny, me and you had a great time. Had New York Wolves hanging out with us, Columbus Wolves. So it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I had a great time. It was just fun to meet a bunch of people that you only talk to on the internet, actually see some faces.
And that brings this first show of the new season to an end. So thanks again to Alex producing. We're going to be back next week to review the Leeds game and then preview match week 2, which is a home fixture versus Fulham. So in the meantime, sign a striker, Wolves, and up the mighty Wolves.